To give you a little bit of background on my involvement, I'm a county board member for District 11, which is on the north side of Peoria. I'm an all-urban county board resident, so collaboration when I decided to run for county board was a key premise of my candidacy, that and economic development. So both of those really go pretty hand in hand, and we have the opportunity to work with the city. In 2005 or thereabouts, we had in our area an informal committee structure between representation of the county and the city that gathered together on a monthly basis, and they talked about more internal types of functions they could combine. So it was more a staff-generated discussion. It didn't have a mission statement, it didn't have key strategies, and it didn't have accountability for outcomes. In 2010, Mayor Jim Ardis at his State of the City address, along with Chairman O'Neill of the County Board, suggested that perhaps a future strategy for our area could be well served by having collaboration that is strategic, visionary, and accountable between the City of Peoria and the County of Peoria. So there was a citizen-led group called Pass Forward, Peoria Area Shared Services Group. Some of you may have been involved in that in some capacity or know someone that was, but there were 35 volunteers from the area that spent almost 2 years, year and a half, 2 years together, coming up with a roadmap of key structural department areas that the city and the county could collaborate on. That report was presented to both City Council and the County Board under this intergovernmental kind of committee relationship, and what has now been birthed is Metro Peoria. So as Rod indicated, we are now chartered. We have an intergovernmental relationship between the two units of government. We have regular meetings, which I would encourage you all to come to. It's the second Wednesday of each month at 2:30 in room 402 at the county courthouse. And we actually are creating a roadmap on different initiatives that we're working on. You will be able to go to, Ginny, you might have to help me here, metropeoriagov.org.com. Thank you. I get those kind of confused. And that will take you to our website, and you will see all the minutes. This is a very transparent conversation between the two organizations. You will see all of our minutes. You will see that we are following up on the topics as they come before us, and then we are laying into topics to go in the future. The current committee is of 3 county board members and 3 city council. Myself, your neighbor, Andrew Rand, and Mike Phelan are on the county side of the team. And then Ryan Spain, Eric Turner, and Tim Riggenbach are on the city side of the team. And I would say that we're very, very anxious to continue to move forward on different kinds of projects. But I'm going to take a breather and let Ryan just kind of talk about some of the projects we've talked through to this point and what that means to the organization.
Sure. Well, thanks, Mary. And again, thanks for having us here tonight. Right before we started, your county board member, Mr. Rand, sat behind me and asked, "Are you comfortable?" And I said, "Well, this is the most comfortable I've ever been in this room before, because I'm not here for candidate night, and we're here just to have a conversation and really a good dialogue about what we're doing as a community." And then Mary asked before the meeting started, "Do you think anyone in this group might have questions?" And I said, "I think there will be no shortage of questions, so we'll have plenty of opportunity to have a dialogue." This has been a process that, as many of you know, we've been working on for quite a long time, but the opportunities are great between two units of government that already work very well together, and perhaps now as we have really embarked on this journey as Metro Peoria, as a formalized organization, we'll have better opportunity to really even remind people just how much we're already working together. I was reviewing a cooperation matrix between our two units of government earlier today, and we have 6 pages of line-by-line items that we're working on between our units of government each and every day. And so the collaboration is already there, and then the opportunities to do even more are really plentiful. And we can do things together that can offer better services to our constituents and to our communities, more efficient and effective ways of doing things, a more cost-effective way of doing things as we continue to look for the best path forward to maximize taxpayer dollars within our community. So a lot of things happening, but maybe some examples are really useful. And so I would start historically with a cooperation opportunity that's been in place for a long time. Hey, Jason. Which would be our city-county landfill. And so actually, as many of you are aware, as an active neighborhood association, we have had the city of Peoria and Peoria County working together as joint owners of our own solid waste disposal facility here in Peoria County. And we have a committee structure, an intergovernmental agreement, and all of the things in place that allow an arrangement like that to exist. So we started to look and understand what are some of the building blocks that we already have in place, and then what can we do to add new layers of service for our constituents. And really they probably started with some low-hanging fruit that we worked to tackle. Things like allowing county vehicles to fuel up and use our public works facilities at Drees Lane to get gas and do other things. Or taking advantage of the real expertise that Peoria County has from an engineering perspective in inspecting bridges throughout the entire city of Peoria. And throughout the entire county, but not the city of Peoria. And we looked internally within our public works department and started to understand that we were trying to figure out how to create some skills that really weren't best suited for our organization, but were already being accommodated very well on the county side. And so simply by working together and having this type of infrastructure in place, a charter in place to create and champion cooperation between our two units of government, we were able to move very quickly or relatively quickly, to execute things like joint fuel purchasing, bridge inspections, and so on. But now I think we're starting to really turn the corner and get into some more significant items. And they're really important for both of our communities. And I know that there's a slide in it somewhere within your packet. But two things that are really worth noting that we're working through right now, and I think are great examples of cooperation. First is a uniform restaurant licensing, working together through the Peoria County Board, the City Council, and our joint City-County Health Department. And how can we take advantage of uniform licensing that can solve some problems that we're facing on the city side? And that's why it's been so great to have an organization like Metro Peoria, because we can take a problem like, in this case, we have restaurants in the city of Peoria that perhaps are delinquent in their our taxes, their restaurant taxes remitted back to City Hall. And we really lacked an ability to execute enforcement and create a consequence for that delinquency. If we take advantage of a relationship with the county, we have, through the health department, licensing that can be used as a lever to make sure that we're in full compliance with those restaurant taxes, which generates more revenue for our operations within the city and offers the opportunity for more services. The other example that really has come about through a lot of hard work by Mary and Andrew and others is really important to our neighborhoods. And so we observed problems through our enforcement activities in neighborhoods of ordinance violations that were not corrected. We offered a notice to abate. We executed a work order to correct a violation from a problem house in a neighborhood, and then that money was never recouped. We really lacked an ability to collect that money. And working through Metro Peoria, our county board, and our county treasurer, we now have a mechanism to take those violations and place them effectively onto the tax bill as a lien and have them showing up not even just as a lien, but as an item on the annual tax bill that needs to get satisfied and paid back as a way to reconstitute those work orders. And when you start talking about dollars that are at stake for restaurants, it could be several $100,000, and for code enforcement violations that are unpaid, $300,000–400,000 that we were looking at in money that was just sitting out there that we didn't have a good way to get our arms around. And through this type of committee structure, through this type of effort on collaboration, now we do. So this is a great opportunity for us, and I think we're constantly in search of new ideas, new opportunities for how our two units of government can work together to maximize those taxpayer dollars and make sure that we're delivering services most efficiently. If you recall, as Mary mentioned, the state of the city in which much of this effort was begun by Mayor Ardis. It really started with probably one of the most ambitious and admittedly most difficult areas to achieve full integration and cooperation, which was our public safety services through the Sheriff's Department and the Peoria Police Department. And while that was set with maybe a 5-year timeline to see what we can do to better coordinate those services, you know, the discussions are already achieving things that I think are very useful from a public safety standpoint for our community. And we heard recently of the sheriff's search team locating an individual here in the city. We have opportunities for specialty services that might exist within the Peoria Police Department or within the Sheriff's Department that don't need to be replicated now and can be shared and coordinated back and forth between those two departments. And ultimately, that's a more effective way of accomplishing some of the things that we recognize as being very important. So I'll stop there and see, Mary, if you have other examples that you want to add in, and just maybe talk about and I don't recall how long your term as chairperson lasts, but I hope it continues very far, because under Mary's leadership we've made a lot of progress and we have many more ideas in the hopper.
Well, thank you, Ryan, for that vote of support, but I think that's till June. And then one of the city council folks will take over. That's the beautiful thing about this relationship. We really have, it's very symbolic. It's not only functioning, but there is symbolism in this initiative that's never before been presented in our community in this fashion. And I think for those of us that want growth and real positive outcomes for our communities in the future, those types of relationships take time. And so though Ryan and I can say, and Andrew and others at our committee can come up with topics that we want staff to work on, if our staff in our organizations don't buy in or don't even know one another, then it'll be difficult for them to really accomplish the success that we're looking for. I think that's one area at the beginning of this discussion for Metro Peoria. None of us elected officials were really prepared or understood the type of relationships that needed to be built. So to give you an example of one of the best success stories, very small, but one of the best success stories early on, was our county finance officer, Eric Dabrowski, has to buy some accounting books of some nature. I don't recall exactly what they were, and they're an annualized copy, and not only does the county have to have them, but the city needs them as well. And he's been hearing us drill around these conversations. We need to collaborate, we need to work together. And he picked up the phone and he called Jim Scroggins over at the city and said, hey, I only need to buy like 4 of these books, but I don't know how many books you need. If we buy, I'll say 10 for the sake of this example, we get like $2 of a discount. And Jim goes, well, that makes sense. Let's save us $2. The mere fact that an employee picked up the phone and called another employee of another local organization of government that are not accustomed to working together to save $2, that's a pretty major culture shift within our organizations. Elected officials are going to come and go, and sure, staffs will come and go. But the environment and the culture in which those staffs operate will stay in place for a very long time if we don't take the time to develop those trusting, well-working kind of relationships in the beginning of these types of initiatives. So I think that's one of the most pleasing things that happened, was that we had staff that actually reached out on that phone. The other thing is economic development. There's a lot of conversation going on in our area on economic development initiatives. Peoria County now has its own economic development department. The city is reconstituting and re-engaging their economic development plan. The staff of both organizations now are meeting weekly to talk about how they can work together to bring economic development projects to our area. So I believe we are slowly lowering the curtain to see what's behind it on how our staffs are working together for success in our area. That's pretty monumental. One I'm personally really proud of, sustainability is very important to me, and I think our environmental concerns, anywhere that we can influence positive environmental progress is really good. Peoria County enacted about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, an internal organizational plan for sustainability. So we now are gathering metrics on electric, water, and gas usage. A lot of that our recycling department and conservation department seek grants to change over antiquated light fixtures to reduce those needs. The city doesn't have an internal sustainability plan, and fortunately Ryan in this case helped me champion over in the city. So the city's going to contract with the county for our staff to come and work inside their organization and start to develop an internal sustainability plan. These are little steps, and I think that a lot of us that started working on this project in the very beginning, especially based off of the Pass Forward report, really felt that we were going to get some high-ticket items that were actionable right away. And that's when I say we didn't realize how much we needed to help our staff learn how to work with one another to move the ball down the court. So I think we're poised and positioned to do that more in the future. I'm excited about that. The other thing with the city has helped the county with e-ticketing, and that came out of the treasurer and lien conversation that in the circuit clerk's office, they are manually inputting the data off of tickets where their software is available that they should be able to just input through a click of a computer that information. So we're working on getting that put together for them, and that's been in the pipeline for a couple of years. So if nothing else, the Metro Peoria Committee platform is just that. It's a community discussion platform for your two local units of government to come together, which represents entire Peoria County, of which Peoria City is our largest urban area, where any topic can come on the table, and we will then take it back to our organizations to see how we can integrate that in for the future of a more efficient type organization.